A few years ago, I thought my biggest problem was a lack of motivation. I thought I needed more inspiration, more confidence, more energy. But I was wrong. The truth was much harder to accept. My life wasn't being controlled by motivation. It was being controlled by habits. The small things I repeated every day were quietly shaping the person I was becoming. And once I understood that, everything started to change. Not overnight, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, one habit at a time. Today, I want to share the 7 habits that completely changed my life, because these habits didn't just change my routine, they changed the way I think, the way I act, and ultimately, the direction of my future. The first habit that changed my life was protecting my mornings. Most people wake up and immediately give their attention away to notifications, to messages, to social media, before they've even had a chance to think for themselves. I used to do the same thing. Every morning started with distraction, and every day felt reactive, like I was constantly catching up with life. But the moment I stopped touching my phone during the first part of my day, something changed. My mind became calmer. My thoughts became clearer. I stopped starting my day with noise and started starting my day with intention. The way you begin your morning often determines the way you experience the rest of your day.
The second habit was simple. I started keeping promises to myself. Not huge promises, small ones. If I said I would read 10 pages, I read 10 pages. If I said I would work out, I worked out. If I said I would wake up early, I got up.
Because I realized something important. Confidence is not built by thinking positively. Confidence is built when you trust yourself, and you trust yourself by doing what you said you would do. Every broken promise weakens self-respect. Every kept promise strengthens it. That habit alone changed the way I saw myself.
The third habit was learning to stop running from discomfort. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid difficult things, difficult conversations, difficult work, difficult decisions. But growth lives inside discomfort. Every meaningful transformation in my life began with something uncomfortable. The workout I didn't want to do. The fear I didn't want to face. The responsibility I didn't want to accept. Discomfort stopped becoming something I avoided and became something I respected. Because discomfort often means growth is happening.
The fourth habit changed everything. I became intentional with my attention. I started realizing that attention is one of the most valuable things I own. Because whatever receives your attention eventually shapes your life. If your attention belongs to distractions, your future will too. If your attention belongs to growth, your life begins changing. I became more selective about what I watched, what I listened to, who I spent time around, because your environment is constantly influencing your mindset. And protecting your attention is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. The fifth habit was learning to sit in silence. No music, no videos, no scrolling, just silence. At first, it felt uncomfortable because silence forces honesty. It forces you to confront your fears, your excuses, your dreams, your reality. But over time, silence became one of the most valuable things in my life because that's where clarity appeared. That's where I understood what I truly wanted. And in a world addicted to noise, the ability to sit quietly with your own thoughts becomes a superpower. The sixth habit was letting go of the obsession with overnight success. I used to think transformation happened quickly, that one day everything would suddenly change. But real growth is usually invisible at first. It's built through small improvements repeated consistently. One better decision, one extra page, one workout, one disciplined action. Most people underestimate what small habits can do over time because they focus on immediate results. But life rewards consistency, not intensity.
The people who change their lives are rarely the people who move the fastest. They're the people who keep moving when everyone else stops.
The seventh habit was the most powerful. I stopped blaming the economy, my circumstances, my past, other people, and I started taking responsibility. Not because everything was my fault, but because responsibility gives you power. The moment you stop blaming the world, you take back control of your future. And that's where real change begins. Because excuses may protect your feelings, but responsibility changes your life. The day I accepted that nobody was coming to save me was the day I started saving myself.
Looking back, none of these habits changed my life overnight. There was no dramatic transformation, no magical moment. Just small actions repeated consistently, day after day, month after month. Until one day, I realized I wasn't the same person anymore. And that's the truth most people miss. Your life is not built by big moments. It's built by small habits repeated for years. The things you do daily become the person you become eventually. So if you're waiting for motivation, don't. If you're waiting for the perfect moment, don't. Start with one habit, one decision, one promise to yourself. Because the future you want is not created in a single day. It's created in the choices you make every day. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the habits you thought were small completely changed your life.